Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Rejuvenated Women, Impeccable Health for High Performing Women. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Swenson Ridley. Today, I wanted to just share some thoughts about something that we as women in general, and I would argue definitely high performing women, suck at, and that is rest. And I don't mean sleep. A lot of us, I do know, struggle with sleep, and that's a different conversation. I mean actually building rest into your life, into your days, and time to just rejuvenate and replenish your cup. And I know for most, like all of my 20s and the majority of my 30s, I'm in the tail end of my 30s now, but I didn't understand this at all. And so I was just constantly go, 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 go all the time. And there was always something to do. There was always a business thing or a work thing or a kid thing or a, coaching thing or whatever it was. And this summer in particular, for the very first time, I've really created the time and space to have rest in my life. And it's really weird. We're just gonna, I've been thinking a lot about this, over the last couple weeks because I'm fully working from home, so I often don't actually go to town. We live a little ways out of town, and like if I don't need to go, I don't go. But I'm working from home. I work about, I'm still working on 3 to 4 days in a week, but there's only 2 days where I'm actually seeing clients, and I have a lot of free time on my hands. I get my stuff done. I'm pretty. I've learned to task well and to get the things done that I need to get done. I've hired some help at this point, and it's so I'm in this strange space of like, oh, I actually have time to go for a walk or read a book or, you know, work on my garden or you know, play my violin. Like I started playing my violin again for the first time since I had wrist surgery 2 years ago, and it's like I have time for these things again. And it really got me thinking too, like just how sad it is that we spend so much of our lives like in this just constantly going and so disconnected from the things that we actually are fulfilled by and that bring us joy and that allow our bodies to rest and our spirits to heal and all of that stuff. And not to get totally woo on you, but there's certain things that really connect us to who we are. And I talk to so many women, like a scary amount, who have completely lost sight of what that actually is for them. They don't know what things bring them joy or what things fill them up because they've been so focused on everyone else and everything else around them, doing that selfless syndrome thing that we talk about so much on the show. And it's like they completely lost that side of themselves. And then we have to go on this, it's kind of fun, I think, to go on a self-discovery process of like, okay, well, what things do fill me up and bring me joy? And then there's that time when I was having this conversation with a new client yesterday. She's gone through a major transition with becoming a mom, and she'd had all these things that were her identity and who she was and the things that fulfilled her, like running marathons and going on backpacking trips and doing all this stuff that you just can't do with an infant or a 2-year-old. Her kid's 2 now. And so she's in this place of rediscovering who that is, that or who she is now in this like new context of life, right? And so this applies in both places. Like I think it comes from, we have to make a shift in some way, and maybe that's like a life happens to us shift, or maybe that's a we change our lives so that we have more time and space available to us. But the distinction is like something like becoming a parent, or having a major life transition that kind of happens. We may choose it, but it's something that's happening to us that makes life a lot different. An injury, it could be a lot of things, versus like we consciously make a choice to change something, and they can kind of go hand in hand, I suppose. But in either case, like we have to kind of be willing to sit in this place of unknown and things. Like I have had to be really intentional about not filling my plate with a bunch of stuff. It's like, I could take on a million house projects, or I could find ways to fill my time. We could like totally spread ourselves too thin, which I've seen a lot of people doing, especially coming out of the lockdown of 2020. I know a lot of people are like beyond busy and are wondering what they did to themselves. So if that's you, like just take this as a breath of fresh air to maybe pause and think about the things you've committed to and what you really need to be doing. And then recognize that rest is important. And it's that time of, it's not about sleep. It's not about your body sleeping enough. Like, yes, I hope you're sleeping too, but building times of rest when we rejuvenate. And that rest could look like going for a walk. That rest could look like meditating, yoga, doing something. And I will have an episode coming out later in August that I just recorded yesterday with another doctor out of Connecticut, and she's a mental health practitioner for kids. But we were talking about, the parent relationship and all of that. And, for us as moms, as parents, as, even if you're not one of those, but interact with other people in your life, like we have to make time for ourselves, even if it's just 10 minutes. Like, just commit to 10 minutes a day. If you're like, Dr. Alex, I'm totally overwhelmed and overloaded and I don't really know how I would make this work, that's okay. Find 10 minutes, even if it's 2 5-minute chunks. Hide in your car, hide, like, wherever, and just do something that's going to fill you up, lift you up, and replenish you so that you're a better version of yourself going out in the world. So if I have any, incredible insights that as I've really built like far more time than I've ever had towards rest and relaxation. Like I never would have we went to the lake yesterday on a Monday, just on a whim. Normally I would have had a full patient schedule and not, been able to do that. And I was able to just go and like hang out and sit in the sun and get a nice tan going on and all this stuff and, read a book and watch my son play. And it's like having that freedom. And I know not everybody has that because we have careers and jobs and all that stuff. But when you figure out how to build some of that stuff into your life, maybe it's not a Monday, but maybe you get to do that on a weekend that you normally, would have done like a million house projects or, just been go, go, go all weekend with kids' activities and all that stuff. Maybe you cut some of that out or take a pause and just really enjoy being less busy. There's research that shows, especially those of you with like busy kids, they don't actually thrive or like that as much. And so really encouraging them, especially when they're younger, to not have quite as much on their plate and just have more time for like creative family fun and play is awesome. And so, this is I'm taking this from the context of not to like there's the you time and there's also the family time, and really like bringing this idea of rest, rejuvenation, refilling the cup. I made my son leave his technology at home yesterday and we played a game in the car and we talked and we reconnected. Like it's finding those moments to just really help ourselves disconnect from the world so that we can reconnect with ourselves. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. We will see you next week for more health tips, and we'll also see you on Thursday.